Good to go?
Yeah, all good.
Cool.
All right, so how are you?
I'm good. I'm just at home, kind of getting some work done. It's been a busy weekend.
Busy weekend. What have you been up to?
I'm really close with my cousin, and he's a couple years older than me, and he has two teenage sons. And they've never been to Seattle, so we went down to LA and picked them up and brought them back up here. And they're staying with me and my brother. My brother lives down the road, and so they're staying with us for the next week and a half. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So nice.
So, hanging out with teenagers all weekend.
Yeah, but it's a good time. That's awesome. Showing them around. Were you born and raised in Seattle?
I was born in San Francisco, and most of my family's from Los Angeles area, and then we moved up here when I was going into high school.
Very cool. Nice. So you've been there for a bit. I've actually never been to Seattle, but it's on my bucket list. I really want to go.
Where are you at?
I'm in New York, but I'm on Long Island. So
cool.
like,
Okay.
yeah.
Right on.
Nice.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It's nice. It was nice and sunny before, and now it's like kind of rainy, but we make do with the lighting and everything. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be dark, but
yeah. So long. You were in the city, right? You said.
I'm sorry?
You were in New York City at some point, though?
No, I was never in the city. Always Long Island, but I'm like 40 minutes from the city, so not too far.
On. I lived in Brooklyn for a few years. At first, I was in Crown Heights, and then I was in Bed-Stuy.
No way. Very cool.
I just moved back to Seattle a few months ago, actually.
Did you like living in New York?
I mean, it's the greatest city in the world, and it's the worst city in the world. So, there's some days where you feel like powerful and huge, and like you can conquer anything, and it's just getting on the subway can be exciting to go to somewhere, to a job, or see friends. And then there are just those days when like everything seems to go wrong. It's a city that has like really high highs and low lows. So it was tough,
Definitely.
Yeah.
I always say the same thing about the city. Like, I love it, and I feel like it's one of the most magical places ever, but I don't know if I could ever live there. It's a lot, I think.
Yeah.
It's more calm on Long Island. So.
Do you go to school right now, or what's your background? What's up? I don't know. I didn't really get to look at your blog enough. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. So I am in school, but I go to school on Long Island, and I'm going for media communications. And I work at a radio station on Long Island. It's a classic rock station, and then I also work for like a top 10 like radio station. So that's my story.
How did you find out about Acid Time?
It's funny. I find a lot of the bands that I interview on Instagram, and you guys just popped up on my page, and I saw we had a mutual follower. So I interviewed Dylan from Communicant.
I don't think I know that.
They actually follow you, and I was like, cool. Oh, cool. I was like, let me check them out, and I was like, okay, they're pretty good. Like,
That's rad.
So yeah, that's how I found you guys. The power of social media.
Love it. I'm stoked. Yeah, that's great news. Well, we've been working hard right now. We're still hustling. We're recording right now again, actually.
Are you? Because I know you guys just came out with your album Bullies in March, yeah?
Yeah, and the quarantine really, really fucked that up. So, yeah, I mean, it's okay. We would have been, right now we should be in Europe, and we were supposed to headline Beanique Festival in France at the end of this month, and we had all these cool plans, and it's like all fell apart. We were planning on hitting like Japan and New Zealand this year.
Wow.
Supposed to be a big come up year, and then, I think it's good. I mean, the focus has shifted onto like how rough the economy was for musicians before this, and it's nice to know that like when we come out of this that there will be some changes for hopefully for better, but in the meantime everybody was quarantined. So my drummer, he lives in LA. He's the only other member, Ian, and he has a 6-year-old, so he's been lucky enough to have custody of his 6-year-old for most of summer and spring, and so he's been up here a lot. Like his parents live up here, so he usually has his custody plan to like stay with his parents and hang with them. And stay close together. And so they're up here right now, and we've been cutting songs by ourselves at a studio down the road.
Oh.
Because nobody's there, so it's like best place to quarantine together.
Yeah.
And then we have friends from all over the world. Like we've got some buds in Mexico City, and then Paris and New York City, and they're all contributing like pieces of these songs. One of our buddies is in Australia, and he's playing bass on some of it. And we're collaborating with all our friends over the internet right now, and we're gonna have like probably like 10 or 12 singles that come out of this that we can like kind of start leaking out over the course of the next year.
That's amazing. That's good cool. Though. So you've still been able to like, you know, get work done, and it's like everyone I feel like needs to find like everyone's trying to find creative ways to still like continue doing what they're doing, and it seems like you figured it out how to like still get some work done. So that's good. But I also did read about you guys like rotating your band. Like I thought that was so interesting. So it's just you and Ian, but then when you tour, you have a few different members, right?
We have a few dozen different people that have played with us over the years. Like, it's pretty gnarly. Like, we can play anywhere from, like, I play solo, even I've toured solo with, like, a kick drum and a hi-hat and my guitar.
That's sick.
And then Ian and I can kind of do the stripped-down duo thing. And we have anywhere upwards of, like, I think the most we've had in the band on stage was 10 at a time.
Wow.
We did that this year for Freakout Festival, so that was pretty cool. But, yeah, I mean, it's kind of a solo vehicle. Ian's more of a graphic designer, and he was in a rock band in town called the Mama Rags. And I used to play in a band called Fox and the Law, and both bands weren't really able to get out of town that much. It was tough doing the music we did, and so he really dug my my solo music, and thought we should kind of create a project around it. And so he started doing his really cool cartoony artwork for everything. And I never really liked having a full-time band because, you know, for one, you're all like, it makes it harder to tour. Like already it's so difficult for him and I to tour with him having a child, you know, and wanting to be a present father. And then on top of that, you know, it's like the way you pay people is different. The way you resent people is different. So it's nice to kind of save a ton of money where I can fly anywhere in the world. And I know a decent number of people that will back me. And it's people who are like really into the music, so it's not like I'm just they're hired guns. Like they're stoked to get paid, but they also are really enthusiastic about what we're doing, and they give the song flavor. So when you're seeing us on the road, we never really have the same lineup twice, or at least don't often. And so you get a lot of different versions of the band that are all fun. Like it's fun for us, and it keeps it fresh. And then for the musicians playing, when they start to burn out, we can tell, and we're like, all right, I think, you know, let's try to bring somebody else on for that next tour, you know?
Yeah, no, I read that and I was like, that's so cool and like very unique. And like you said, it keeps things like fresh and interesting. And
yeah, it's been really fun to kind of explore that. Plus, I mean, it means the records like just feature so many people. Like between all the albums we've done, I think I'm the only consistent thing on every song. Like Ian's not even on every song. He produces it all with me, but like, he more works behind the boards and he plays drums on about 90% of it. But like we just have so many friends that contribute to our records, and it's pretty rad that we can do that and just, you know, get to collaborate with people we love.
Yeah, no, that's a beautiful thing. And I love that you guys do that. It's super cool. Yeah. So I was listening to your stuff, and I hear so many different influences in your music. So like, where do you get your inspiration from? Like, who did you grow up like listening to that inspired your music?
I think some of like the bigger like obvious inspirations are like Jack White. You know, I was a teenager when that music was coming out, when the White Stripes were a big deal. So I was really into the Strokes and the White Stripes and Interpol and all that kind of thing. But I'm also really, really obsessed with like really great American songwriters, like people like Jonathan Richman. He's like my number one. And, you know, like, especially, and soul artists, like guys like Al Green and Curtis Mayfield that have those voices that are really cool, just like kind of mellow, low voices. Like I take a lot away from that. And, I think honestly, a lot of what I dig is rooted in like soul and R&B music. And then I just turn it into this weird psych trip odyssey thing.
Yeah.
But it ranges, you know, I don't like to do the same angle twice. Like the only thing I feel like I like connecting all the songs together with is like my guitar and my voice. But terms of like the vibe, like I feel like every EP and LP stand kind of on their own as like a unique, you know, production from the others. Like I don't think there's really a consistent sound, which has been kind of fun for me, you know.
Yeah, because I was like listening to your EP or your first EP that you released in 2015, and then your most recent album, and I was like, it's so different, but I just heard so many different influences in it. But it's cool, like listening to like the evolution. Like, how would you say like your music has changed?
I mean, I think one thing that stayed the same actually, but has allowed for me to explore a lot of different angles is I've tried to approach it like poetry more. So my lyrics actually have weight. I don't write cheap lyrics, and I've never like enjoyed that. I used to do that in other bands, and I kind of got fed up singing the same bullshit. I think I just went through life a lot more. You know, I had more fucked up life experiences to kind of draw from, and you know, my 20s were not pleasant as pleasant as expected. And I think a lot about my 20s was really rough, and this, you can hear it in what we're writing. And I've definitely grown a lot coming into my early 30s, and I feel more in control of my life and more reflective. And so I read a lot, you know, I really enjoy poetry, I enjoy prose, you know, and I'm a big nonfiction reader as well. And I care a lot about the state of our country, and that comes in the music a lot. And so I'm kind of reflecting on like love and death and politics all at once. That's the overarching theme of the band.
Yeah, no, you definitely hear it. I was like listening to you guys like right before we came on. I was like, these lyrics are beautiful. Like, you write beautiful, beautiful lyrics. Gorgeous, amazing.
Thank you.
But also I was watching your music videos too, and I was like, they're also amazing. And they're so, you said Ian, he does like a lot of the visuals.
Actually, with the music video side, I produced a lot of those. That was where I kind of stepped in. He does like the text and like the cartoony stuff. Like, Ian's a really great graphic designer.
Okay.
I really started to develop a sense for what I wanted. I was in a relationship with a photographer for a bit before I eventually got married. And I was still with my ex. We collaborated on a lot of the stuff that's still up is stuff her and I worked on together. We're still friendly as well. She did the cover of Bullies.
Oh, really?
Her name's Stephanie, and she really brought a lot to the table with the music videos.
Nice.
And I've kind of like since then, like I'm not working with her right now on anything, but even when I'm approaching what we got planned, like I'm really trying to come at like visual poetry is what I want out of those. And I don't need it to be, I don't want to just do another party. Like a lot of rock bands do the same old party video or like tour footage video, which we've done one of those, you know, but I think it's important to have, you know, something to say with even the visual side of things and make it like a treat to watch.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was watching the Humpty Dumpty video, and I was like, this is so sick. This is so
it's
cool.
my apartment in New York City. Yeah, that was in my apartment.
Really?
We turned a soundstage.
No way.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and that girl's I think she's still a stripper. She's a stripper that my ex met at like a photo shoot for like a modeling thing.
Oh, cool.
I like pitched this girl this idea because I got the idea from Tempopo, which is this old Japanese movie about ramen and food. And
cool.
There's a really sexy egg scene where the couple like cracks an egg in their mouths and tries not to break the yolk and passes it back and forth.
Yeah.
And so like I showed this girl that scene, and she's like, I want to do some weird shit like this. Let's go with it. So we got together with a bunch of my friends, and like we cooked so many eggs over easy that day and cracked so many. I went through like 5 dozen eggs. It was so great.
That's amazing. I was watching. I was like, this is genius. This is so good. I loved it.
It was so fun to film. Yeah.
Do you have like one music video that stands out to you the most that you really enjoyed making?
Oh yeah, Beautiful Disaster.
Yeah. Why was that? Why was it your favorite?
We were in Hawaii shooting a wedding, and I just downloaded all these like Super 8 apps for the iPhones. I was just shooting like on an iPhone, and then I edited that whole video myself and cut it together with the music. So that was like 100% start to finish, something where I like, you know, really oversaw everything, like, you know.
Wow, very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. All on your phone. That's amazing.
I know, it's an iPhone video, but it's cool. I mean, cool that you can do that these days, you know?
I know, it is. It's amazing. We've come so far with technology. It's like wild. You can really do anything on your phone.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. Very cool.
Yeah.
So I also read somewhere that you guys were touring at one point with Ariel Pink.
Yeah, we played a few shows with him when he was doing his he was touring with Diiv.
Very cool. How was that experience?
I was like, I had come off my set and I was using the toilet, and I think I might have been like smoking pot in the bathroom or something. Who knows? But like, he had to take a shit before he went on stage, and was, like, pounding on the door and screaming at me at the top of his lungs. And he thought I was a member of his band, so he was especially. You could tell like there was some like coked out tour resentment in his voice.
Yeah.
He was going nuts, and I like kept fucking with them, being like, "I'll come on stage when I goddamn want to," because it was their time to go on stage. And he's like, "Last call." He's like, "I need to use the fucking toilet." And so that was my biggest takeaway, was like coked out Ariel Pink screaming at me through the bathroom door.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
You'll never forget that. That's
It was like polar opposite from Diiv too, because those guys are really sweet and they're all sober now, and like.
Yeah, I've heard they're really good guys.
They're really good guys. Yeah, they were super cool to be around. So yeah, it was fun. I think I had more fun. I just went on tour with King Khan in January.
Oh, nice. So
Yeah,
cool.
my wife was a go-go dancer for him, and so that's how they met. Was like at a festival, and became friends. And then she set me up with him, and like we he was on tour in the West Coast and wanted her to coordinate go-go's to come with King Khan in the barbecue show.
Mm-hmm.
And so they put together this fun little trip, and she was like, "You want my husband's band to open? Because they're pretty." And he checked it out. He's like, "Absolutely, like, let's do this." So we spent a few days with him, and it was just a total party. And it was the last tour we did before quarantine. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it was crazy. It was super cool. All the shows were sold out. They were all nuts. Like, it was a ton of young audience that's found out about his music too. And so we just had a killer time, and it was like being with like a big family of friends, you know. And there's a band on my record. I own a record label called Freakout, and so there's a band on the label called Smoky Brights, and it's a husband and wife and their band. And
yeah.
They both guest like in my band sometimes. And so, you know, Kim plays keyboards and sings, and then her husband Ryan plays guitar and sings with me, or plays bass sometimes. He was on. They did the Ariel Pink show in Seattle with me, and so Ryan, he came with me and played bass. So it was like a whole family affair with like the label and our friends and stuff, and pretty cool.
That's beautiful. But that's so crazy actually that you said that, because I have a friend. He's a musician. But he recently started interviewing musicians, and he actually interviewed Smoky Brights literally yesterday.
No way.
Yeah, my friend Danny, Dr. Danny.
So cool. That's so cool.
That is such a cool. That's so funny that you just said that. I was like, no way. They
you
just
them sometime. They have tons of great stories. The Kim is an attorney. She's like a barred attorney.
No way.
And she's scaled it back to focus on music. Like, she really wants to transition out of law and like do music full time.
Good for her.
So they work super hard, and they're just starting to like break in Europe and stuff. They were just in Rolling Stone France this last week, you know, getting some premieres, and there's a big feature on like the label and their band right now coming out on the July issue out there. So it's so dope. Like, it's cool to see them. They're dropping a record on Friday. So that's probably why your friend talked to them.
Probably. That's so sick. Oh my God. Yeah, he was showing me a few of their songs, and I was like, they're good.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll talk to them and see what's up. No, but he only said like nice things about them. He's like, they're so great, like such nice people, like really, really talented. So
yeah, they're really funny too, especially Kim.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh my God, what a small world. That's so funny.
Yeah.
So
right.
yeah. So I know everything right now is kind of weird, and like everything is pretty uncertain right now. But what do you have planned, hoping that everything continues to go, you know, smooth and everything starts to slowly go back to normal?
I am trying slowly and trudging through learning Spanish right now. My mom's Mexican, and I want to like eventually become fluent. But I have two of my closest friends live in Mexico City, and Yasmina and Miguel, and they're in a band called Carry On Kids and another band called Los Honey Rockets, and we're collaborating right now on a new project, and we it's all in Spanish. It's all the lyrics. Miguel sings, Yasmina plays keyboards, I'm kind of producing everything and writing all the songs and writing some of the choruses and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this other band on our label is called the Grizzled Mighty, and their frontman Ryan is playing guitar for us. And he's just like a shredder, you know, rock and roll player. So it's cool. It's like kind of got a little bit of like Black Angels in it and a little bit of like the Black Lips.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's Mexican style, so it's like really punk rock almost more, you know.
Nice.
And we're almost done with a full record. We're gonna have a full length for either the end of this year or beginning of next year. So I honestly, next year I want to tour with that band as much as possible. Like
Wow.
the most fun
grinding.
yeah, the most fun tour I've been on was last year with Acid Tongue. We toured from Mexico City up to South by in a car with Carry On Kids, Miguel's band, and it was like one of the most insane trips of my life. Like so fun. It was their first kind of big tour of Mexico, and it was like my first time driving through Mexico, which was crazy as fuck. And you know, I just have a really close relationship with all of them now and bonded. And they all backed me in my band. They played in my band, and so they learned all the Acid Tongue songs, and they were my backing band up to South by Southwest and then the Treefort Festival last year. And they still filled in all year long too. They've come in on certain shows, and so I just wanted a reason to work together on our own project.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like perfect. So this will definitely be a band where it's the four of us. Like that's the core band. It's like the group, you know.
Wow, very cool. You have a lot of all these different plans, but that's so sick.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You've really been like making the most of like quarantine, it seems, and really working hard and trying to like get things ready for when things slowly start to open up.
Yeah, I mean, I've been grinding out because I go nuts otherwise. Like, it's really easy to get depressed, and I definitely suffer from like that kind of depression when I don't feel useful or when I'm having it. And seasonal, especially. Like, I was coming out of like that whole winter Seattle depression into this year, and so I was like, I cannot go through that again. It was tough, you know, and I don't want to feel like it's a fucked up situation right now for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the stars aligned, and you know, we've had access to a studio, which was unreal, and that's helped a lot. And I still have a business to run, you know. I run Freakout Records, so we have shit I've got to do. Like, I can't just, you know, be lazy right now. I got to, like, kind of keep things moving so that we have a future, you know.
Of course. And you're right. It's like, I think it's good to keep busy because I know exactly how you feel. Like when I don't do something and like I just start to like fall into like this pit of like depression. So it's good keeping busy and productive. But in a way, I feel like obviously, again, like the whole situation is like so fucked up, like everything that's happened. But in a way, it's like it allowed people to think like pull back and like settle down a little bit and maybe like just work on themselves and what's important to them. You know what I mean? And have all this time to do like, you know, what they need to do or what they want to do.
I agree. I mean, I think especially now it's about family and like people you care about. And that's where this band came from, was just to keep in touch with people I see as like my family.
Mm-hmm.
So it was as much like an opportunity for us to kind of like be connected as it was about the music. And that's going to make the music that much better. You know, there's something real in there. So, and I mean, the music's hard as fuck. So I'm excited about that.
I can't wait to hear it. I'm so excited. That's awesome.
Yeah, we just started mixing it, so I should have something for you guys soon. You know,
Ooh,
and if you know anybody that wants to interview us in Spanish, I should put you in touch with those guys. You know.
Yeah, definitely. Please do. That's awesome. I would love that.
Yeah, they're great. Cool. So, like, how is it in Long Island right now? Is the quarantine pretty stiff, or are you guys kind of loosening up like we are?
So we are actually pretty okay right now. Everything's like loosening up. We're slowly entering phase 4. So like, you know, restaurants are opened again, except, you know, it's like mostly outdoor dining. There's some indoor dining. It's like loosening up slowly but surely. But I think we're just afraid because at one point New York was so bad. And now like the other states around us are getting bad. Yep. So we just want to make sure we like keep everything like, you know, good, and we do it slowly and responsibly, but it's been okay. People are starting to feel like semi-normal again, but
fucking Florida and Texas are scary right now, and it's like what the hell did they expect, you know?
Because they were going out like just not wearing masks. Like my friend was just in Florida, and she was like, "Dude, it's crazy here. Like people are bar hopping, like not wearing masks. Like it was intense." So
that's of course they're all getting sick.
I know. No.
And it's the people who probably respected the quarantine that are going to get fucked anyways.
I know. Unfortunately, I mean, I just hope slowly but surely things get better. Because here we were really strict for like 2 months. We were like really, really strict. And like things started to get better after 2 months. So I feel like they just need to like be locked down for like at least 2 months and like slowly reopen again. Because like all the other countries are like okay.
Yeah, we're just kind of playing back, but like it was pretty intense in Seattle because we also got hit early like you guys did. So there was a lot of, like, we had the first cases and the first deaths. And it was really scary. And our release was on March 13th for that album. So I had to like cancel the release show and rebook it at like a really tiny little bar. And we just live streamed it and had like, we sold out in an instant because it was like 120 capacity venue. But it's just like nuts to have to basically like you've been working for, I think we finished the last sessions for Bullies 2 years ago and got the mixes like a few months later. So you're working for 2 years for this moment, and then, you know, coronavirus happens. So it was a little bit like of a bummer, and we just did our best to make the best of it. You can see why I've stayed busy, because I was like, no, I can't let this like fuck me over. I just have to keep working right now and not. It was such a tragedy, like, and especially that week, I remember just coming home every day exhausted and like defeated from the whole thing, because there was new news every day, and it was like one day it's like, okay, it's going to be cool, we're going to probably be reopened within a few weeks, this is temporary, and then the next day it's like the whole city's about to shut down, you know. And it was scary as fuck those first few weeks. I remember like shopping, like everyone was like on edge and like getting angry if you got near them or running, you know, just it was just like chaos, you know. And there's no toilet paper. Fucking what the fuck was that all about?
That was the worst. I know. I know. Everyone was just losing their shit because like nobody knew what was happening. They were like, the world is ending. Like,
no. And it's not like we have any like elected leaders that we trust anymore, you know. The whole system's been undermined. That's what that whole record's about. It's funny that happened while the record was dropping, because like I wrote that entire record kind of about this shit, and like we don't have a leader that's telling us anything we can trust. We got some idiot going, it's fine, my numbers are great.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. And it is kind of weird that like that's what the album was about, and then like all this shit happened like as you're releasing it. But you know, hopefully, I mean, I know after everything like starts to go back to normal, like everything will resume, like, you know, you'll still get to tour, you'll still get to play the music, and I know like everything will be okay though, you know?
Yeah, for real.
Okay. For sure. No worries. So, but thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah,
and I can't wait to hear the music that you guys release, and I hope you stay safe. And again, thank you so much.
Yeah, cheers. Take it easy this week. I'll talk to you soon.
Yes, I'll keep in touch.
All right, adios.
All right, bye.